Hey Kevin, how we doing? Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. How you doing, Garrett?
Not too bad. Looking forward to an exciting power session day on change order management.
Change order requests, everyone's favorite topic.
Well, it's 1 o'clock, so let's get started. Kind of start the beginning here. How do we go about, creating these and managing them and things of that nature?
Yeah, so I'm going to use a fresh project as kind of an example here, so I don't have any kind of data currently existing. So the first thing to note is you will find the change order request module under the financials section in your project. So if you go to change order request, what you'll be brought to is a landing page that shows you all of your outstanding change order requests. Like I said, we don't have any created for this one yet, so we don't see any. The reason I wanted to start with a new project was the first thing you should do if you're starting to use change a request on a new project is go to the settings tab here and make sure all of your change order settings are configured correctly. So it's grouped into a few different sections here. The first one is labor rates. So this where you can list out the specific roles that you will have on the project and what you'll be billing each of those rates for. So if you wanted to add a new role, you could add it here. If you need to modify it, you can modify, delete. Um, the next important one is the profit and overhead markup. So what does your contract allow you to add for markup for your work? So you can add as many different line items as you want. Typically what we see is self-perform work has one rate and subcontractor work has another rate. So when you add a line item, not only will you put in the percentage here, but then you can select what that's going to apply to. So if you want it to apply to labor and material equipment or subcontractor. So self-perform work, we're obviously going to select the top three. Subcontractor work, we're going to select the bottom one. The next one here, taxes and other. So this is a really important one that I think gets overlooked a lot when you're putting together change order requests is to make sure that you're including all the little odds and ends that kind of add up. So tax rate, that's obviously pretty straightforward. Let's say we're in a state that has a 9% sales tax. Again, same thing as the profit and overhead, you can select what it applies to. Here, I'm going to apply it to material and equipment. And then let's say I have a bond on the project. So if I want to make sure that, hey, I'm adding that 2% bond rate into all the additional work, I can go in here, select it. So anything extra that kind of you might be having that's related to the contract amount, you want to make sure you're including it. So one I see all the time is if you are working with a general contractor that's using Textura and there's a Textura fee on every invoice that you submit as a percentage of your contract, good thing to include things like that. So always good to make sure you have all the other miscellaneous things included here. And then the last thing you can set up in the settings is who you want to assign it to by default. So this isn't a required one, but if you're like, hey, I'm always going to be sending these change order requests to the same person, it's a good one just to assign it here so you're not having to do that on each individual change order request. So then you can save it, and then you'll go back to the homepage and you're ready to start creating change orders.
Like it nice and easy.
Yeah. So to actually create the change order request, you're going to hit add new. The system automatically numbers the change order request. So you'll see kind of change order request number one. I can give it a title. So let's say this is related to a new ASI release. Let's say ASI 34. I'll save it. It's going to create the change order request. You'll see the change order number is already populated. It starts in a draft stage. Here, I don't have an assignee because I didn't set one up in the settings. If I did, that would auto-populate. Let's just pick somebody at random here. Additional schedule days. This is another thing that I think gets overlooked a lot when people are submitting change order requests is it's important to note that change orders are a change to the contract. So if you have a change or a schedule tied to the contract that says, yeah, you have to complete your work in X number of days, it's a good thing that if you are having to take on additional work, you're going to want to include those extra schedule days in the contract. So especially if you're on a project that might have liquidated damages included in the contract terms, really important to say like, hey, because of all this extra work, we're going to need 10 extra days in the schedule. Here you'll see we've got our created date. We haven't submitted or resolved it yet, so nothing there. But then we get to kind of the meat of it, adding the individual line items. So I can go in here and I will add a line item. And here we'll have sections for labor, material, equipment, and subcontractors. So the first thing we want to do is add a title. for this line item. So let's say it's additional concrete, or let's call it increased concrete slab thickness. So now I can go through and populate my labor. So if I've got, let's say it's going to take my superintendent an extra 40 hours, my foreman an extra 40 hours. I'm going to have 2 journeymen on the crew, and let's say 3 apprentices on the crew. You'll see it's this way 80 hours for the 2 journeymen and 120 hours for the 3 journeymen. So you'll see it's aggregating all of my total labor costs based on the labor rate and the hours. It will total this down below. You'll see my bond rate gets applied. So on any individual one, I can also edit those percentages if I need to. So I'll see I get my 2% added onto it. Then I'm going to add my profit and overhead so I can see what my total labor costs are. And then I can do the same thing for material. So let's say I've got a 3,000 PSI mix. Let's say it is 100 cubic yards at $150. I can add that line item here, and it will do the same thing as above. I'm adding my taxes, my bond rate. The other thing here is you can see you can add attachments. So let's say there is a quote or an invoice you want to attach. You've got the flexibility to do that there. And then you can do the same thing with equipment and subcontractors. So I'll skip equipment and subcontractors right now. But you'll see I will start to kind of add up everything. So I can see what my cost is. I can see what my total contract amount is. And then if I close that line item, you'll see it gets added to the line items here. So I can add as many different line items as I need to. And then the next thing that you can add here is any comments and qualifications. So again, this is something that's really important to remember, that a change order actually reflects a change of the contract. So if you are making assumptions based on how you're going to do that work, really important to make sure you include any comments and qualifications. So let's say all dewatering is excluded. So I can add that here. And then once I've got my change order created, I can then email it. When I email, I've got 2 options. I can either include the line item breakdown. So if I include the line item breakdown, that's going to include everything that I added when I was creating this line in here. It's going to show my hours. It's going to show the material quantities that I've added. Or I cannot include a line item breakdown, in which case it would just be a summary. So let's include the line item breakdown just for this year. You'll see it's going to get sent to whoever I assigned as the assignee. I can add any messages that would show in the body, and then I can email it. You can
Kevin, just
also
because the question
download
may
it
come up,
directly as a PDF.
I was saying just because the question
Oh
may
yeah.
come up for the assignees, is it going to be users or contacts that pulls from?
Oh yeah, so it will typically be users that you can pull from. So it will be anyone that you assign on the project team. We'll see in that assignee tab there. So as long as you add people to your team when you're setting up the project, you'll see them as an available assignee.
Perfect. Thank you. I know that's come up a few times, so just eliminating confusion.
Yep. I see another question here. Our bond rates are based on our sell price and not cost. Is there a way to handle that on change orders? So we don't have it currently. That's actually one of the improvements we're looking into adding, is changing where you can add those different rates, whether it's to the cost or the contract side. One of the workarounds we've suggested to people, it's not perfect, but when you're adding the bond rate, you can just add the markup to it. So if you say, hey, we always have a 15 or a 10% markup, instead of just having a 2% for your bond rate, you could put in 2.1%. So that's one workaround, but that is something that we're looking to add, is the ability to apply those miscellaneous and other percentages to the contract price and not just the cost. Okay, so if you want to download to a PDF, you've got the same 2 options here as when you email it. You can either include the line item breakdown or not include the line item breakdown. If I include the line item breakdown, I'll show you an example of what that PDF looks like. So here you'll see we've got our summary page. Your logo would show up in the top here. You've got the change order number, the assignee, the date, the amount, any comments and qualifications. And then it will show you kind of each of the sections for labor, material, equipment, and your subcontractors. If you don't want the line item breakdown, it's just going to show that first page with the total amount of the change order request. So up to you, depending on your relationship with your client in terms of what level of detail you need to provide, but we do provide those two options. And then if we close it here, we'll see that this gets added here, and then it will kind of track the title, the number, the status, the impact of both the schedule and the contract amount and the cost. If I go in here and say, hey, this has been submitted, one thing you'll see here is that you've got this revision history here. So if you need to go through and let's say add any revisions to it, you have that ability to do so, and it will basically keep a log of that. So you'll see it's, and then if I update any of the status here, it will show it on this page as well. And then on the landing page, you have that ability to export the change order log if you need to share it with your client. If they ask you to send that change order log on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis, you have that ability to share it as well. So that is everything related to the change order request module. I'm not sure if there's any other questions, or Garrett, if there's anything I missed you wanted me to make sure I touched on.
No, like it seems super user friendly. I guess from your time in the field as a PM, what kind of challenges do you think having these kind of in a central location would eliminate that you saw?
Yeah, the biggest issue I saw a lot when it came to change order request is that it can be a tedious process sometimes to submit change order requests for every little thing that comes up, and having kind of a platform like this where you can kind of just do it all in one location. It's very quick and easy to add new change order requests. That ease to adding change order requests, it's going to make it a lot easier to make sure you're tracking every single thing that you should be submitting a change order request for.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Do change orders whose status is marked as approved affect any of the projections on the contract and cost in ProNovos? It does not tie into the cost forecast right now. And the reason we do that is because all of the data in the cost forecast is based on the data that comes from the accounting system. So it is based on the approved change orders entered into the accounting system. So I talked a little about some of the things that we're looking to do throughout the rest of the year. One of the other things that we're looking to do is once you actually submit this change order request, being able to sync it back to your accounting system once it is approved, and then it would be included in the web and the cost forecast and the other projection tools. Is there a way to have any attachments that are uploaded in the breakdown be included when emailing the change order? That is a good question. I don't know if I'll have to follow up on that and get back to you, Michael. That is something I think we'd have the ability to, but it's eluding me at this current moment. Like I mentioned, this is something, change order request, it is going to be kind of one of our main priorities in the second half of 2025. So if you have any further recommendations of how this could be a better tool to meet your needs, definitely reach out to Garrett. We'd love to kind of meet with you, get your thoughts, any other ideas that you might have in terms of how this can better help you serve how you do change orders within your business.
Agreed. Please reach out. We'll schedule some time. Always looking ways to make the dashboard better. So. Looks like a question there, Kevin.
Yeah, how do you add daily per diem? So that is something that you can come in here and add in, I guess it would be could actually probably do it. I guess you could do it a couple different ways. It would depend on your preference. You could either add the per diem as a separate line item in material, or you could set it up as its own role here. So if I wanted to add per diem, and maybe I just said, hey, it's 21 hours and it's $25 a day, you can do it that way. So you could do it either as a line item, as a role, or you could do it in the material section.
Well, cool. It's 1:15. Anything else you might want to point out, Kevin? Now we can
No. Yeah, I think we went through all the functionality and like I said, this is one module in particular. I mean, we love hearing feedback about all our tools and functionality, but change orders in particular, if you have feedback, we would love to hear it. So please reach out to Garrett if you'd like to set up a time to review.
sounds great. Well, thanks everyone for your time today, and we will see you in 2 weeks for, I believe, we're building dashboards. So should be a fun
Yep.
one.
All right, later, Garrett.
Yep. Have a good day, Kevin. Thank you so much.